Have you ever wondered what it takes to buy a new construction house? Well, today we will be going over the top 10 things you need to know when buying new construction. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Logan Ray. I'm a realtor here in Nashville, Tennessee with the Pro 25 group, and my team loves helping people relocate, whether they're buying, selling, and we love educating people on how to invest in real estate and become financially free through investing. So if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. We're gonna have a lot more videos coming. Hit that subscribe button, and for today, let's dive in. Tip number one, research the builder. You can do this through looking at online reviews. For sure, start there. A couple tips though, you want to make sure that you're looking at your builder for this community, for this city. Although it might be helpful to find reviews about your builder if he's a national builder, and pay attention to that because sometimes some of the warranties can be similar, but it can also be really different if it's different communities. So like if you're in Nashville and you're looking for a really good builder here, make sure that you can look online to see what other people in that community are saying, because that'll be a really good, realistic indicator of how your experience could be. I'd also recommend whenever you go to the new construction site and you're talking to the selling agent or the listing agent when they're there, make sure to ask them if you can get a couple of maybe phone numbers or emails of residents that live there, and you can interview and ask how their experience has been from top to bottom. This is a huge thing that you're going to be buying, like, a huge purchase of $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000 depending on the area, and for sure you want to do your research. A couple other things. If you have a really good real estate agent, they should be well connected. I know my team, the Pro 25 group, we know several builders here in Middle Tennessee. We can help you by verifying the reputation of that builder. A lot of times we know other agents, other clients that have worked with those builders. So we can verify and pinpoint and give you a little bit more security. So that will be one thing I would recommend, is talking to your agent, seeing if they know anything about the builder and if they have a good reputation or not, and kind of leverage their network. That's why realtors are there. That's why we're here to help. Another thing I'd recommend is ask to see if you can meet the project manager. See if they are rushing the work or if it's quality work. See how they're organized. How are they handling the job site? A lot of times you can just show up and kind of see that things are trashed and thrown all over the place. That might be an indication that it's not as professional of a builder. Ideally, you build a good relationship with that project manager. They're going to be your friend. They're going to help you. They're going to be your ally. That's another thing. A local builder told me that specifically when working with builders, interviewing them. Try and meet the project manager. A lot of people don't tell you that, but you can go out there. You can walk the area, walk the new construction site, see how they're handling this, and that should help give you a little bit more insight on as to the type of quality that the builder is, the type of work they're doing, if you basically want to buy a house from them. Tip number 2 is understanding the home warranty. Almost every single builder is going to give you a warranty, and typically they will do a 1 year, 3 to 5 year, and then like a 10-year structural. But you want to make sure that you go very in depth and understand what they're offering. If you're going to change a bunch of stuff up and customize things later, is that still going to be covered under warranty? Go over it with your realtor. Go over it with the listing agent. And make sure you get clarity, because you want to know exactly. That's a huge benefit of buying new construction, is you usually get a typical like a 1 year home warranty and a couple other types of warranties. This is a structure that they built up from the ground. Things will shift. So that's definitely something I'd recommend. Also, typically for the 1 year warranty, 11 months later, they'll come back out and knock out a huge punch list of a bunch of stuff. So throughout the time that you're living there, I'd recommend anytime something comes up, make a note of it. Depending on how your warranty is set up, call the warranty company or just make a note of it for when they come back out later. Obviously, if it's a major thing, go get it fixed. That way you're organized, you know exactly what it is, take before and after photos, and really it's just, you want to understand what you're signing. You want to understand how the warranty is set up, so that way you can take full advantage of it. Another thing I would highly recommend is when you're researching builders, find out who is doing the warranty. Like, is it the actual builder or is it someone who's a third party company? And if it's the builder, are they going to be available? Go back to researching the builder and researching online. See if you can talk to people. Hey, how was your warranty experience been? If something goes wrong with the house, are they pretty quick? You know, the listing agent will sometimes try and sell you on that, but you really want to get clear on that, because there's nothing worse than trying to get something fixed for free but waiting forever because the warranty company is the builder and the builder's still working because you bought in phase 1 and there's 6 phases. If there's a third-party warranty company that's doing it, try and meet them and verify how their experience has been. Look at their online reviews, and all this is really just to help you, because you want to be able to make a wise decision, and understanding the warranty is going to be incredibly important in this case. Tip number 3, make sure that you go get a third-party inspection. Hire a home inspector. Your agent or your team should have a home inspector. If you're with us in Tennessee, find Four Corners home inspectors. They're amazing. I also recommend getting a radon test and a termite test if they don't have a clear letter. Now, a lot of builders, they will already have their own in-house inspections. They also have to pass codes and several items like that. So that's great, but you're buying a huge asset that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. You want to make sure that they didn't cut corners and that they're doing it right. The third-party home inspection is super important because they're going to catch things that you will never see or never catch or never think of. And even the agent's not going to think of that stuff. Also, when you get the inspection report, you want to be able to get almost everything on there fixed. You know, focusing on functionality and safety. But because this is a brand new house, there should be no reason why everything on that punch list should be corrected. So typically, that's another video, but you'll give it to the listing agent and he'll give it to the builder, and then they have a project manager, and then they'll go on a punch list, and you can verify that during the blue tape walkthrough and point things out. So hire a third-party inspector. Very important for you to do that. You want to make sure that you guys don't miss anything, and if they are cutting corners or if they're not willing to do stuff, you can back out of the contract because you have typically a home inspection contingency. Other than that, you want to make sure that those things get corrected, and you want to make sure that it's up to code. A lot of times they're going to catch things that you won't even see or even notice, and that's why you want to hire it. Just like if you're buying a car, you get a car inspection. These guys are professionals. They're amazing to work with, and they do this every day. They see things that we don't see, so you want to make sure to hire an inspector. Okay, number 4 is know the HOAs. This is going to be important for you because HOAs can cover a lot of things or they cannot cover a lot of things. You want to get a copy of it from your agent, maybe ask the listing agent, and they should be able to go in depth. So a couple things to note here. Number 1 is you want to make sure you verify and thoroughly look at that thing. Does it cover ground maintenance? Does it cover internet? Does it cover trash? What about, are you allowed to build a fence? A lot of homeowners love buying a house because you can customize and do a lot of stuff. You're not renting anymore. Well, if there's an HOA and maybe it doesn't allow you to build a side addition or have a screened-in porch or add a shed in the back. So these are like little things, but once again, like you just don't think about them until it's too late. So you want to verify and examine the HOA documents. Also, something else to notice is who is actually running the HOA. Besides the price, is the builder running it? Maybe you're in phase 1 and the builder is going to be in charge of it. So are they going to take care of that rain garden or plant these trees that are outside, or they're just going to leave it like a construction site until 2 years from now when they're on phase 5 and they're done? Something else is maybe it's the neighbors or a couple people that have already moved in that are running it. So verifying who's actually running the HOA can be important. Maybe sometimes it's property management companies run it. Then research and look those guys up online. A couple other things you want to know is HOAs can go up in price. So that's always a good question. Like, hey, do you foresee this going up in price? What about once the phase is complete and the builder's out? Are the HOAs, you know, what exactly do they cover? Are they going to go up in price? So to summarize with HOAs, make sure that you look at their restrictions, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what do you need to get permits for certain things, who's in charge, how much is it going to cost? And if you're an investor, that can be a pro or a con. Maybe it's a pro because it allows amenities like pools and dog parks and like a clubhouse or workout center, internet, trash covered, but it's also could be a negative because it could go up in value over time, or it's kind of a fixed set price that you have to continue to pay for. You have your property insurance, your taxes. Even if you have your house paid for, you're always going to have to pay for those two things. And if you live in a new construction community, typically they're going to have an HOA, so now you have to top that on. So So those are some of the main points that I would look out for when buying new construction for an HOA. Number 6 is pay attention to the phase. So this one is one that I love sharing with my clients personally. So if you're buying in phase 1, right, and there's no other houses out there, there's no other houses for your new construction house to be compared to, versus if you are buying at the end of the building phase, like let's just say phase 5, well, you have all these other houses that they built that you can compare to. And it's interesting because a lot of times the builders will sell houses in, packs of 5, 10, 15 or more, and they'll increase the price by 1%, by $2,000, $5,000, just depends on demand. So even though there's maybe 6 months to a year difference and it's the exact same house, depending on when you bought in the phase can affect the price of your purchase. So you could buy, let's just call it $350 for the same house in phase 1, then you buy the exact same house in phase 5 for $400 or $450. I've seen it go up by over $100K, honestly, back in the day in 2022, 2021, when COVID here, prices were crazy. So it's just interesting. If you can, try and buy earlier in the phase. Now, there will be some negatives with that. You're going to have to put up with new construction and the sites and some of the builders, but your house will appreciate over time more significantly than it will if you buy at the end of the phase. So that's something to pay attention to. It's always good to know, hey, what phase are you on? Tip number 7 is the incentives. This is probably one of the best things that you can do and why builders are so competitive. A lot of times they will have an in-house lender that will be able to be way more competitive than your current lender that you might be working with. It just is what it is. The reason why they're able to do that is because they usually have an in-house lender that they have a contract with where, hey, we're giving you all these clients, all these deals. Can you lower the interest rate? The builder, no matter what, has to sell properties. You can't go out of business by just sitting on the sideline, even if there's no buyers. So that's why they're offering these like crazy incentives. Like I know right now there's some builders here in Nashville that are offering a 4.99 interest rate, or they'll do a 2-1 buy down, which is basically they'll buy the interest rate down for 2 years by 2%, and then the next year they'll buy it down by another percent, and then after that, by year 3, you're back at, let's call it a 7% interest rate, but hopefully by then interest rates will have adjusted and you could refinance. Now, this is probably one of the best incentives. I mean, having a 7% interest rate compared to a 5% can make a huge difference in your monthly budget. So it's one of the big incentives. A lot of times too, they'll also have closing costs that will be covered. Definitely look at the contract though, and look at how much are they really covering. Like, are they covering $5,000, but closing costs are $25,000? Well, okay, that's not really a whole lot if it's only $5,000. Some other stuff they can do is sometimes they can throw in incentives like they'll build a fence in the backyard, or the builder maybe will add certain appliances. Like typically they won't come with a fridge or a washer and dryer. Maybe they can get a deal where they can throw that in there and install it for free, something like that. But it just depends. So ask your agent about what the incentives are. And when you're interviewing the new construction builder or the listing agent, be upfront. Like, hey, do you guys have a preferred lender? What are the rates like? And can you lock it in? There's a lot of questions. Your agent should be able to guide you, but those are some of my tips on knowing the incentives for buying new construction. Tip number 8. So a lot of these new build construction houses, they'll offer different types of premiums for upgrades. So it just really depends on what you want to do. So I had like a couple clients that didn't want to do that because they wanted to pick up specific things that the builder wasn't offering, and they knew they could do it themselves for much cheaper. But if you don't want to do it yourself and maybe you can just pay a little bit more, it can be worth it for the builder to just upgrade a couple things. Now, once again, this isn't going to be the advertised price that you see online. These are going to be upsells essentially, or premiums, and it can be worth it depending on how you look at it. You know, how much is your time and energy worth? But I look at it as, you know what, if they're going to be doing a couple more upgrades that you already wanted or already were going to do, roll into a loan over 30 years and you don't really feel the difference. If the price goes from $450 to $460 and you get that granite countertop with the cool lights and a fan that you actually wanted. So a lot of builders will offer these types of in-house custom updates. Some of them won't though. Some of them are spec homes, which means it's kind of like basic. It is what it is. The builder's already built it out. He's not going to go over there. So it really depends. If you're early on in the phase, you might be able to design a couple things and pick things out. It just depends on the builder, but that's something that I recommend looking into for new construction and something that you want to pay attention to. Okay, so tip number 9 is verifying the timeline and knowing the deposit that it takes to buy this property. So is it going to be $5,000? Is it $2,000? What does it take to get under contract today? Just be aware, sometimes it can feel like these guys are very salesy and kind of pressuring you. And some honestly are. Some of these agents that work there, working for the builder and with the builder, they can kind of pressure and push. Other times they're just trying to get a sale. That's why you want representation. But you want to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of. However, a lot of times, depending on the area, there can be a lot of demand. So like I had some clients in Franklin where we actually got on a wait list, and as soon as one became available, boom, we were under contract. You can move quickly. That's why you want to be prepared and do all these things that I'm telling you, because sometimes it's really high demand. Other times it's not so much high demand, and you can choose to be a little bit more picky. So it really depends on the area and the demand, what type of market you're in. So something to pay attention to, once again, is how much is the deposit, what's the timeline, does it fit your goals? If you have a really good real estate agent that's representing you, they should be able to work that in with your goals. And last but not least, the most important one is to hire a buyer's agent. So the way that the payout works as far as commissions, the builder pays the listing agent and he pays the buyer's agent. If there is no buyer's agent, then the builder just keeps that money for himself, and then you as the buyer are just stuck with the listing agent. Typically they will be a facilitator who will just draft up the contract, and they will do their best to represent you and help you, but you really don't have anyone in your corner that has your back. And why would you do that? You're not even paying for it. So that's why I always recommend find a buyer's agent that can help you and represent you. They have a fiduciary right. You trust each other. They've got your back. They know your goals, and they're going to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of. A lot of us agents, we've been there before. We know what it takes to buy new construction. We've basically been to the land, and we're just the guide. You're the hero. We're helping guide you there, but you need to know a couple questions to ask, and you're going to want a professional that's been there, that knows the right questions to ask, that can represent you, and that can stand up for you. What are you going to do when there's something in the contract you don't understand? What about asking for different types of credits? Or what if you find stuff during the inspection report? All of these issues can be resolved by having a buyer's agent. Another pro of having a buyer's agent, if you're not there, they can be there. If you're like out of town, they can virtually walk you through. They can give you updates of what the property's like. A lot of times too, having a buyer's agent can help because they have access to some of these listings that maybe you won't really find. Like you would have to dig in and verify and talk to every single builder and get on their list. Working with the buyer's agent is going to be extremely beneficial for you because they got your back. They've been there before. They're in the front lines, and a lot of times they will see stuff that you won't normally see. Once again, we are professionals in doing this every single day. Negotiating, looking at houses, seeing what works, being very detailed and meticulous, looking at the inspection report, knowing how to negotiate and ask for certain credits, being able to make sure that all the title documents are in. You want someone that's going to be on top of your paperwork, someone that's going to be very detailed. And if you're buying in Middle Tennessee, consider using us. Again, my name is Logan Ray. I'm a real estate agent with the Pro 25 group. And here in Middle Tennessee, we have lots of builders that we work with. Bonus tip at the end, I love giving extra value, is ask the listing agent, are there any questions that I should ask that I'm not asking? Those were my 10 tips for you for buying a new construction house. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video brought you value. If it did, consider subscribing. We have a lot more content that's coming in the future. And if you guys are thinking about moving to Nashville, once again, hit us up. My team, the Pro 25 group, would love to represent you and help guide you to that process. So we have a free relocation guide below. We also have a PDF that goes through all the questions that we just went through today with new construction. That's pretty much it. So we'll see you next time. Peace.